The easiest way to follow me is my weekly newsletter on Substack, clowillaerts.substack.com. I'm mentioning it because it'll come back at the end of my talk, where I will present a number of the experiments I've done myself. But it's important to know that I'm more of a marketing profile, so I'm not a growth hacker per se. I just like experimenting. And the premise of my newsletter on Substack, it's called Chaos and Amazement, because I'm convinced that since the pandemic, we live in a singularity, in a technological singularity. This is a quote from Professor Scott Galloway. He's a typical grumpy professor who wrote a book last year called Post-Corona. And he says that system shocks like the pandemic, but also wars, economic depressions, they're painful, of course. We all feel the pain. But the times that follow, which is right now, the time we are living in right now, they're often among the most productive in human history. The generations that endure and observe the pain are best prepared for the fight. And that's why I call my newsletter and my weekly podcast and live shows on Facebook and YouTube, why I call it Chaos and Amazement. It's a concept that I've borrowed from the theory behind the technological singularity, mainly proposed by Ray Kurzweil. So the theory of the singularity, technological singularity, says that, for example, the impact of digital technology on our daily lives, for example, artificial intelligence or automation through robots, it's been going on for a while. I mean, these developments have been there ever since the late 1990s, for example. But it doesn't move very fast. It moves very slowly. And then sometimes there's a winter, like an AI winter, and nothing really happens in the academic field or when you look at applications of this new technology. So there's a lot of disappointment. And then all of a sudden, and my theory is that this happened last year, all of a sudden there's this weird moment, a singular moment when everything changes. And that's where we are right now. Nothing is the same again. And all of a sudden change is exponential. And that's where you see this green arrow go up. The last time this happened, I think, was in 2007 when Steve Jobs announced his one more thing, the iPhone. And ever since the launch, that iPhone moment, nothing has been the same. We've had this, we use mobile apps instead of software. The growth of social media changed a number of things with regards to privacy, online reputation. So this is where we are now in this growth moment just after the singularity. And typical for this exponential growth is that it brings a lot of chaos and amazement. And that's the focus of my talk today. And when you look at chaos, there certainly is a chaos. If you look at, we just had Davos conference and World Economic Forum global risk reports talks about the many risks that we all face all over the world. And number one in orange is the economic crisis that we're all facing right now. The cost of living is going sky high. And this is going to have an impact on all of our budgets. For example, large tech companies have to fire people. So this is definitely the biggest impact in the next 2 years. But then after these 2 years, you will see that the green risks, all of them related to climate change, will become bigger and bigger. Now, applied to marketing profiles like me, whenever cuts have to be made in a company, the marketing budget, specifically the media budget, is the first one to get cut. And this usually the marketing budget is around 10% of the total revenue of a company. And ever since they started measuring this, it was more or less around 10%, sometimes 12%. And then in 2020, when they were deciding on the budgets for 2021, for the first time, you had this incredible cut to barely 6%. And then the year after, so 2022, around October, when there were decisions being made about marketing budget, another cut was done. So this is the reality. This is the chaos, the daily chaos that marketing professionals live in. And it's going to be a pretty chaotic year for marketing technology, for example. Scott Brinker, who is known for his maps of marketing technology, really interesting speaker as well. He says that as if it wasn't bad enough that marketing professionals have to work with even less budget than the year before. There's also this very confusing marketing technology landscape. There's so many tools right now. They don't always integrate very well. So you have to be able to, when it comes to content production, for example, you have to be able to work with all of these tools or get behind or not be able to produce any content because it's getting too expensive if you do it the old-fashioned way. So being a marketing profile myself, I try to help my fellow marketeers by trying to help them find a focus. Marketing strategy, yeah, any strategy really, is about finding the focus. So you don't waste any time in things that are, you know, too expensive for you to do, that take too long, that are not efficient, that do not help you with your marketing objectives. And to solve this, I've come up with the 4N strategic model. I invented it myself, but it's kind of handy because if you look at the green part of this pie chart, I love pie charts. If you look at the green part of this pie chart, it's 70% of your time, resources, energy, budgets should go to the now, which is basically your customer base that you have right now. So this is the real moneymaker of your company should be your CRM system. So this is what Steven van Bellingham also says. You should be customer centric because that's where the real money comes from. If you can turn your customers into happy, loyal customers, you will make a lot more money than constantly trying to find new ones or trying to get the ones that run away, try to get them back. So that's pretty obvious. The green part, 70% in the now. Then 20% of your time, resources, energy, budget should go to next, to your, what salespeople call the pipeline. And this is where advertising campaigns can make a lot of difference. The next is really about who will become your customers next year. Typically a bank, for example, will do some campaigns targeted to young people 16 to 18 years old. They're not customers yet, but they will be, because this is an age where they have to start making decisions about where to open a bank account, or if they want a loan, or they get their first job. So this is where marketing campaigns can make a lot of difference, conquering new markets. But that's not the focus of today. I want to talk about this 10% piece of the pie chart, which I call new. And this is where the experiments belong. You should systematically, and that's what I tell CMOs whenever I get the chance, you should spend 10% of your time, resources, energy, budget on controlled experiments, where for 1 month, 3 months, or in my case, a full year, you go full in to try and verify some hypothesis. So instead of jumping on any hype train, I'll give a few examples of buzzwords. And you say, yeah, we have to go to the metaverse, or you hear about Nike, for example, or Heineken, that open up, that sell virtual goods in the metaverse and sell them for 0.05 Bitcoin a piece, stuff like that. You think, yeah, we have to do that. No, the main issue, and that's what I'm going to try and illustrate, is that you have to spend 10% within a controlled experiment, because it's not about guaranteeing a return on investment. It's about what you can learn. If a couple of years ago you decided to open up a TikTok account and go full in for 3 months, and then just delete the account, probably you didn't get any new customers through TikTok. But after these 3 months going full in, you will have learned how to make these entertaining short videos. You will have learned how to use music in your videos, how to react with a video to someone else. So that's what the 10% is about. And then, just for the sake of completion, there's also 0% the not. Strategy is also about deciding what not to do, but not to put time and resources and energy in. So the question is, should you invest, and this is like the winner in any buzzword bingo, should you invest in your own branded metaverse and sell customized clothing for your customers' avatars as NFTs during a live stream virtual event? Of course not. That doesn't make any sense. But should you spend 10% of your marketing budget just to see how far you can take this technology during a controlled experiment? And there, of course, the answer is yes. So getting back to my like to share with you. So not trends, buzzwords, hypes, just what I am focusing on for myself. And this is a little a model that helps me not to get too confused is content, community, commerce. And then when you think about content, of course, and this will come back in the examples of experiments I've done myself, according to recent research, one of the technologies that these poor marketing professionals are really curious about, so a perfect candidate to do this 10% experiments with, is artificial intelligence. But you already knew that. This is a text-to-image that I made in June with, I think it was Midjourney. And my prompt was marketing professional from the year 2050 looking a little worried. And there are so many marketing tools right now. It's like every week there are new ones coming up. Of course, this is a perfect playground. If you look at just Canva, for example, Canva now has artificial intelligence text-to-image. So I simply, instead of going to I don't know, this Discord server or installing some software just to get text-to-image generative AI, I use the Canva that I already have, use their text-to-image feature on the right-hand side. This was for Hoogstraten, a city in Belgium that is known for its strawberries. And the prompt was create a Christmas card, strawberry related, very romantic. And I was kind of pleased. I mean, there were some of them were a little absurd, but actually 2 of those were actually useful. And then my favorite app to create text-to-images is called Dream by Wombo. Dream by Wombo is actually getting really good in creating images, but just playing around with it is not enough. A few of my other favorites, I keep using Lumen 5 a lot. It's perfect to create text to video based on a text prompt you put that may come from ChatGPT. You put it in the left-hand side, and then it generates a video based on stock video, for example. I haven't had the chance to work with Runway ML, but I think this is like the golden child today of generative AI is Runway. So content generative AI, it's going to be amazing in the next few years. All the new tools we can toy with. The second is that I noticed that in social media, it's not about getting as many followers on Instagram as possible. It's around creating engagement. And I noticed that LinkedIn, for example, is one of the most underestimated social media platform of today. It wants to be Facebook so bad that it's really hungry for native video content, for example. So this is also something that I take into account in my experiments. And then, of course, I have this, and I have to, because my budgets are being cut as well. So most of my marketing objectives are very clear to hard sales objectives. So and this is something that is unavoidable. I do as many live streams as possible, even though they're literally from my living room and with bad lighting. If I want to promote something that I'm selling, like a postgraduate training that I organize at Karel de Grote College, it's 3,000 euros, to enter this course. So and with this, lousy live stream from my living room, I actually sold 3. So it's not bad for just a simple Facebook live stream. So let's have a quick look for the last 10-15 minutes at the experiments that I've been doing myself in the past few years. Again, disclaimer: I'm not a growth hacker. I'm just someone. I'm kind of lazy, and I don't have a lot of patience for a lot of things. So I'm always looking for shortcuts to do the similar things. And so the first version of my handbook, let me see if I still have it here. So I wrote this book in 2018, so it's 400 pages, monster. I was inspired by Philip Kotler. I think he's like the godfather of marketing. He is literally, I think, 93 years old, and he wrote like the handbook of marketing, and with the 4 P's of marketing. But that was back in the 1970s. So I thought I want to write the Philip Kotler handbook, but for digital marketing. So that's how I came up with it, because in 2018, everyone associated me with social media. So whenever I was being interviewed or asked as a speaker, they always asked me to speak about social media. I was getting a little tired of it. It was very limited. I wanted to open up the field. I wanted to become a thought leader, not just for social media, but for digital marketing. And writing a handbook on digital marketing is one of the ways to do that. Now, which tools did I use? I used mindmeister.com. It is literally a German tool that helps you create mind maps. The reason why I used it is that you create a mind map and you can see just as it was a monster of a mind map. It had like literally 1,000 nodes. But I put everything, images, notes, translations, blog posts, I just put everything in a tree, and it kind of started to make sense after a while. But when you export from this mind map to Word, you already get a Word document that is structured like a book. So it has literally, it has the headings and the whole, you can create a table of contents, and you can see that everything is already in the right hierarchy. And back then, it doesn't have this feature anymore. It had a feature called Geistesblitz. And basically, what you could do is type in one word in one of the branches, and then it would just automatically spew out the definition. So whenever I came across a word that I was using for the first time, I would just click this little Geistesblitz icon, and it would just barf out a cool definition of this. So it worked. Another hack that was the fact that Neil Patel, as you know, certainly back then, if you typed in online marketing in Google search, his name, neilpatel.com, would come up first. And but he hasn't written any books yet. So I asked him to write my foreword. So I was a speaker at the conference, and he was there too. And he was looking for a vegan restaurant, and I took him to one. And he was in a very good mood afterwards. So I asked him for a favor. Would you write a foreword to my book? Meaning that anyone that was looking on Amazon.com for a book by Neil Patel would end up on my book because he hasn't written any. And this book in the title has with a foreword by Neil Patel. So that's a little hack on the side as well. So next year, so I try to do a big experiment every year. In 2018, I had started a weekly newsletter just to have bragging rights when I'm teaching about newsletter, to say the most important thing about a newsletter is consistency and persistence, so that you keep it up. It's hard, you know, to write a weekly newsletter. But back, I was inspired by Tim Ferriss' 5 Bullet Friday newsletter. Mine is eventually became a 10 Bullet Saturday newsletter. I wanted to, do community building around the topics that I was interested in. And so in the morning, I spent like an hour on Feedly, and then Nuzzle.com, bless them, was great because it was an interface where I could see which URLs went viral with my Twitter followers and their followers. And then it was super easy to kind of select them, add a little comment, and there I had my 10 bullets. Now, Nuzzle was acquired and then killed by Twitter. So I moved over to Review, which, you know how the story ends, was acquired by Twitter and then killed. So very grudgingly, I had to move to Substack, which is a lot more manual work for me. This link with Twitter is gone. And I just have to spend like 50 minutes every week on Nuzzle. I have to spend like 2 hours compiling my newsletter with 10 bullet points. And so I decided I'll get back to that one. What I learned from this is what Joe Pulizzi always said: don't build your house on rented land. Twitter might buy it and then kill the baby. 2020 and full pandemic lockdowns. You can always experiment with like the new kid in town, the latest. And I saw some potential in Clubhouse because everyone was going a little nuts, and listening to audio only, like podcast or radio, feels a lot more intimate when you're physically alone or doing something else. So every Friday night, and this idea will return. Every Friday night, together with a number of other fellow geeks, I would do a talk show on Clubhouse, and it was really easy at first, Clubhouse, because you got a lot of followers really easy because you could suck in your address book from your iPhone, and I've been pruning and extending my iPhone address book. Is like there's maybe 15,000 people in there, and so I got quite a lot of followers on Clubhouse pretty soon. And now one of the things I'm most proud of that I've done in the past 5 years is this. So we did a charity marathon for an organization that wants to create awareness around colon cancer. It was a 24-hour non-stop marathon, so I literally didn't stop talking. I had a few interviews and guests over. I read from literature all over the world, where pooping or everything that had to do with the functions, like with shit. I would read aloud, and I made it. So 24 hours together with these other people that you see here, and we raised 2,600 euros with this. But then afterwards, I got tired of Clubhouse, and then 2021, still in full pandemic, still in full swing. I was inspired by Simon Sinek. So as you know, he is a very successful keynote speaker ever since his Start with the Why TEDx talk and best-selling book. And during the pandemic, he was stuck in his apartment in London. And he created a book club where he would do webinars. At first, they were free, where he would discuss first his own book and then other books. And then after a while, this became an extra service, and now you have to pay for the privilege to be part of these webinars, the book club of Simon Sinek. And then I thought I want to do that too. I use a tool called readwise.io because it allows you to create these nifty little visuals based on what you have been highlighting in Kindle format on Amazon. So I started reading a lot of books, and then my own books, obviously. And I use Readwise to synchronize with my highlights in the Kindle format. And then every day I get an email from Readwise with 5 quotes. It makes it very easy to create these visuals. Again, this is LinkedIn, very hungry for native content, images in this particular case. It's colorful, so it really stands out in this boring white background of LinkedIn. So every day I try to post a quote from a book, and then accidentally, sometimes it's one of my own books. So this is how I try to promote my own books. And I got quite a few followers because of this, because like I said, the LinkedIn algorithm is really hungry for native content. And thanks to Readwise and me highlighting interesting quotes in books that I read, including my own, I could have something to feed the algorithm on LinkedIn every day. Last year, I was feeling that there was something interesting going on LinkedIn. So I was inspired by Yannick Kayati. You might have heard of the guy. And he's actually one of the experts in the postgraduate digital business that I just mentioned. And he told me about Alfred, meetalfred.com. And basically, Alfred allows you to automate DMs to your first degree network based on a saved search that you saved in Sales Navigator. Now, again, I am selling a product that costs 3,000 euros per student. So having to invest in Meet Alfred and in Sales Navigator, I mean, it's already good. If I sell, you have like 2, you can start the course in September or in January, and there's a maximum of 30. So if you do the math, you can see that it's definitely worth its money. And I keep doing this. So what I've learned is that if you send a DM, sales DM, whether it's in Sales Navigator or one of those other professional tools of LinkedIn, keep it as short as possible. Try to make it look as a WhatsApp message. Include only one link. I'm on the receiving side of this type of automation as well. And then often you get these long DMs, and I say, no, it's a DM. Please keep it short, keep it informal, limited to one call to action. And then finally, what am I going to do this year? So what's my experiment today? So as I mentioned, I'm really frustrated with Substack because creating a newsletter is back to, manual work, creating links manually, basic HTML. I absolutely hate it. And I thought if I have to spend like 3 hours every Friday morning creating this one newsletter, why not go all the way and do more with this content? So I was inspired by Twit TV with Leo Laporte and a podcast that I absolutely adore, the Quoi je me mêle, with François Sorel, where the basic format is a live stream, a tech news show, right? So it's a live stream on YouTube or Facebook, and then afterwards, this 1 hour video is being cut up in shorter ones, which are then uploaded again to Facebook and as reels, as shorts, etc. So in the meanwhile, I had started a platform called Social Runners, which is a marketplace between video creators and marketing professionals trying to find video creators. So I thought, let's create awareness for this new platform. We're still playing with the bubble wrap. It's still in beta, but let's create a weekly tech show live every Friday night, which is an idea I got from Clubhouse. And it's a little complicated, but what I do for my newsletter, I ask ChatGPT based on my tweets of the past week to create this 10 bullet list. And these are this is not only the content for my Substack, these are also the show notes for the live show that we do on the Social Runners Facebook page every Friday night between 5 and 6. The same video goes semi-live with YouTube Premiere on a dedicated YouTube channel. And then my partner in Social Runners, Phil, cuts up these videos in little pieces. And then I upload these separately to LinkedIn, Still Hungry for Video, and to my corporate Facebook page. So what I'm really doing is to try and squeeze out as many content formats, starting with the tweets that I publish in the course of the week, then the newsletter, then the live tech show, and then the little YouTube clips, Facebook video clips, and LinkedIn clips. Now, we literally started only 2 or 3 weeks ago, so we're still experimenting with it. But I like it a lot, and I'm curious to hear your feedback. Getting back to my CCC content community commerce, my final advice is the future of marketing is, if you're not already forced by getting small budgets and getting budget cuts, the safest way to keep going in marketing is to have these sales objectives, and then you're practically unstoppable if you have this focus on sales. And if you try to use experiments like mine, they don't always work out, but if you like to use these to try and get real paying customers. Right. Well, I still have like 2 minutes. Quentin.
Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you very much. It was very nice to hear about, to see the future of marketing. Yeah, I would like to thank you very much. If there are any questions left, I'm sure they can send you a chat, and she will be able to answer it. And for now, I want to wish you a great day. Enjoy the summit. Enjoy, hopefully, the weather, but I'm quite afraid for that.
Not today.
Yeah, I think so too. But thank you very much, and I will see you again another time.